Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Living Life I Life You, and we are on our special series of research. I am your co-host, Dr. Veronica Garcia.
And I'm your other co-host, Erin Gilligan, and we are here today with student Cory Johnson. Hi, Cory.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, thank you for being here. And Cory, what program are you in university, and where are you at in the studies?
So I'm currently a junior here studying business administration.
Awesome.
That's great. So what drew you to that, to business initially?
Honestly, it's just my love for consulting. So studying business admin, I get a bit of everything, management, econ, economics, just to, specify which area or industry in consulting I would want to pursue after college.
Oh, that's great. Is there one you're leaning towards right now, or one of those areas you're most...
Yeah, strategy and operations. So I just love critical thinking and problem solving. So as of now, I'm leaning towards that.
And that definitely goes hand in hand with the research that you were doing and that you did, which is part of critical thinking and management. What exactly was your research in?
So this summer, I conducted a few interviews and ended up publishing a research paper titled Small Business, Micro Enterprise and Small Business Planning. It's like a guide to success almost.
Yeah.
So the whole objective for this was to just give small business owners a blueprint, I'd say, of do's and don'ts, things to avoid or look forward to when starting a business.
That's great. And did you find that there was anything that was missing in the current literature? Is that why you did this study, because you wanted to provide a kind of user manual for small businesses?
Yeah, because there's a lot of information out there, and some of it is relevant, some isn't, but people just seem to not know where to go to find it, especially I'm from the Bahamas, so being from the Bahamas, we don't have that resource to say, hey, if I want to start a business or small business, what do I do? So I was hoping to give small business owners or people that didn't go to college or don't have that opportunity some blueprint or idea of what they could possibly do to get their business started.
That's very smart. That's brilliant. Absolutely.
Impactful too.
Very impactful,
Yeah.
Exactly. Because as a person that does have a small business, there was definitely, even just having my small business in the United States and not even home or wherever, it was so overwhelming just to have, once you Google how to start your business, and then all of a sudden you have I don't even know, immeasurable amount of data to get through, and then the input of some person versus another person without actually doing a little bit of research and without actually just being very straightforward about this is what you should be doing to ensure just stability first so that you can be successful. So what were the stages of your research to get that done after understanding that there was a missing piece?
So firstly, I just conducted a few interviews just to see, because like you said, you can go on Google. So I had a general idea of why businesses fail, but I wanted more hands-on reasons, from actual people to say, why their business was failing. So after those interviews, it boiled down to a few reasons: lack of planning, lack of market research, change in consumer needs, integration of technology or lack of technology, and just simple delinquents. For me, I'd say planning was the most impactful and most important reason businesses fail, because everyone wants to start a business. Even me, starting a consultant firm, you get overwhelmed in just achieving your dream of starting that business that you completely forget the whole planning phase of it.
Yeah, and how do you, from your research, what would you say is the step one in terms of getting your planning going? What would be the best thing to start off with?
I would say step one is to just write it down. Write down what you want to achieve, how you're going to achieve it, how you're going to finance or fund this specific thing. And I'd say run it by a few people, not necessarily people that are close with you, but people that are in a position or who've done it before. So for me, before I did the research or launched my business or anything, I ran it by all of my professors that I've had in business, and that's why the research ended up happening. One of them, they told me that I should publish. So whether it be articles or research papers, just publish so that I could have some sort of experience or expertise to say, why am I consulting?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, get the information out there.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it seemed from your paper that a lot of your resources came from interviews and personal one-on-one discussions you had about the subject. So did you find that there was more information to be had there than in, say, the literature that already existed?
Yeah, especially with it being from smaller businesses. Right? So, like I keep saying, you go on Google and there's just so much information there, but conducting these interviews with, I'd say real people that have failed or even succeeded, there was a lot, the reasons for failure were a lot different from what you would see online. Like an unexpected finding for me was the timing of when you launch your business. So some people, they just did everything, not everything perfect, but on paper, everything right, and just the simple timing of when they launched the business, and that was the reason it failed. Another reason was the mission statement. Some people just didn't have a mission statement, so when things got like overwhelming or you just feel lost in the moment as to what you should do next, they didn't have anything to go back to and say, oh, well, why am I doing this?
That's a strong one. That's a powerful one.
That's really powerful, yeah.
And as a person that is studying business, I think that there's a huge misconception between vision and mission. What is the difference between both of those, and what have you found that has brought those businesses back to life, if any?
So I would say the most important thing between your mission and your vision is just remembering why. People say that all the time, but if you don't have something that's truly fueling you and something that you're really passionate about, then it's just not gonna succeed. Like, even if you go back to your mission statement, things change over time. So if it's not something that's in your, I'd say, core beliefs or something that you truly are passionate about, then I wouldn't advise someone to pursue it, because starting a business is really hard work. So,
yeah. And as you laid out, there are ways that there are stumbling blocks along the way to getting your business to not just be successful, but to be at all, to exist. So I think that's a great sentiment to think that you have to go beyond that and work through that and have that vision that drives you and keeps you in pursuit of that goal.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And so you mentioned, first of all, planning, writing it down. What's the next step after we have this idea on paper? We've meditated to it, analyzed it, we're passionate about it. What's the next step?
So the next step would be just educating yourself. So that was another issue with a lot of these first-time business owners. They were going based off online information or just hearsay, or even just self-knowledge. So back home in the Bahamas, a lot of business owners, they would do the planning and then just launch a specific product or service before you educate yourself on what exactly it is. So I'd say just that whole planning phase, it's a bit complex. So during that planning phase, you want to see what competitors are doing.
Yeah.
And that's a part of me educating yourself, So just arming yourself with the knowledge so that you can adequately perform this specific product, service. If it's a product, then, finding out the right materials to put in it, or even if you should outsource it, or, how best I can make this profitable without providing a product that isn't of good quality.
Right.
So as you went through this paper, what did you find, and you were crafting it, what did you find was the most difficult part about it, or the biggest hurdle that you encountered?
Staying focused on the topic at hand. So why businesses fail is a very broad question. There are millions of reasons businesses fail. So while writing this, a few times I got distracted. I'm like, oh, this is really overwhelming, because there's so much information on the topic, but I already had the 5 areas of interest. So just staying focused on those specific 5 areas rather than, let's say, the legal side of things and the back end side of things.
Right. And did you outline before you started the project?
Yeah, so before it, I didn't have any outline while doing the interviews. I just wanted to know, like, maybe 5 to 10 reasons, and I narrowed it down to 5 reasons as to why businesses seem to be failing. And from there, it was a bit easier, because, like I said, once you have a plan, then you know the direction you're going in.
Right. It's a plan for the paper, as you would have a plan for your business.
Yes.
Genius.
So there you go.
Implement it immediately. So you mentioned one of them is planning. The second one, you mentioned lack of research. Well, what are the other two?
Change in consumer needs, technology, and market research.
What is changing consumer needs?
So that would be a long timing. So during COVID, this was a perfect example of it. One of the business owners that I interviewed, they had a very successful business during COVID. You know, COVID stores were closed, so people, they had a self-care business, so face products, skin products. So a lot of the stores were closed, and, well, essential stores were closed, and the ones that were open, the prices for things were really expensive. So they started selling these self-care products, and during COVID, it was really successful. But as stores started to open, you know, the economy started booming again. People just weren't interested in it anymore. So now you see that's where the issue came in, because one, the planning side of it wasn't done to say, okay, well, if the change in consumer needs happens, what do I do? What other product or service am I gonna, you know, provide for these people? It was just this specific product, and people just weren't interested in it anymore.
So lack of evolution.
In a sense, yes.
Interesting.
They're having the plan, but having it be flexible enough where you can adjust.
Yeah, and still maintain your core and your identity as whatever the business is.
Exactly.
Interesting. And then you mentioned, that's the third. What was the fourth? Data, technology? Yes.
Yeah, so this current time, technology is like a key factor for everything, and it can either make or break your business. So technology for small business owners, I would say it's more of an asset rather than a liability, because on one hand, technology could be really expensive, but it has great results, as like simple as having multiple forms of payment on your, well, having an online platform and then having multiple forms of payment. During a short little research check I was, I guess, performing online, a lot of customers prefer when you have more than one means of payment, online payment. So allowing me to pay like within 3 weeks, or like afterpay, you know, where you can make a few payments at the same, well, over time, or paying with, you know, Visa or MasterCard, just having different forms of payment. A lot of people they find it more convenient rather than, you know, just walk to a store and pay cash, or even if you're online, just having it, well, we only accept Visa.
And I imagine there will always be technological advances that you have to keep up with and adjustments you have to make in that realm. So I think having that included as in your research makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but technology itself could have been a whole different paper. So this was just a broad aspect of it, because like I say, living in this day and age, technology is slowly but surely taking over. So it's like I say, it can either make or break your business.
I was just chatting with another faculty member while we were having lunch, and a third faculty member comes into the room, and they ask, like, hey, what are you eating? I'm having spaghetti squash with some tofu and whatnot. And he just pulls up his phone and takes a picture of it and gets up the recipe or a similar recipe. And I said, what? Hold on. What are you doing? What is this? And he's like, oh yeah, it's just through this app. You can take a picture of whatever, and then just everything pops up that's related to that. And then he pulled out the same recipe that I used, which I thought it was insane. But that tells you how slowly but surely things are changing, and we need to start adapting.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely, it's a huge way also of communication with the younger generations as they come, because it's now part of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that another paper? Is that the next paper for you?
I hope so.
Technology?
So now I'm not sure really which topic or which area I'm leaning towards, because there's managing a business, so management or technology. So I'm leaning towards management right now, but we'll see what happens.
Okay.
I love that.
That's great. And then that'll set you up, and through that research, I'm sure you'll learn even more, and you'll be able to set up your own business. And so this is a great plan.
Yeah.
Definitely. And as a small business manager, technology is a huge piece of my management. So maybe it keeps intertwining itself. Who knows? I'm excited for you. So who are your mentors? Tough question, eh?
That's a great question. Just one. Honestly, I don't think I could pick just one. I would say Dr. Billups, Professor Powell, and Professor Ware.
That's amazing. And all professors from Life University.
Yeah. Oh, and Professor Harmon, I can't forget Professor Harmon. Yeah, he gave me the grade that has published my work, so
That's great.
Professor Harmon was a huge part of this whole process.
Yeah, and it's such a blessing to be able to have so many to choose from that you found. That's really great to find those connections.
Yeah, when I spoke with Professor Powell, and we had a discussion about, just using the resources here on campus, because when I had the idea of starting the business, it was extremely overwhelming, and it could have went another way. I could have just, went online, registered my business as an LLC, and started a business, and maybe it would have worked, maybe it wouldn't, but instead of doing that, I just met with all of those professors who I just called, and each of them gave me different advice catered for my situation, and after that, it was just, using the advice, combining it to see, okay, how can I, make this all benefit and make sense for me? So, yeah, it was.
Yeah. What other resources have you used other than having those one-on-one conversations with the faculty on campus?
Library and other scholarly platforms, but the library played a huge part in this.
There's so many resources open in the library, from like just Galileo to be able to like download all these beautiful data that other people have done, and so that you can continue building, because I think that's one of the things that we converse a lot of on the research series, is that there's always so much more to grow from, right? And as the years pass, maybe this beautiful guideline published research article that you have can now need 6 steps or 6 reasons why someone fails, or as it keeps evolving and it goes from being 5 to being 3, or completely different 5s, right? So it's really beautiful that you use some of those resources from the university through like the scholarly platforms that it has, so that it drives your research. That's awesome.
Yeah, and if you had to give one piece of advice to somebody who is going to start their own research, what would you tell him or her to do?
I would say just be open to it and just go for it, because a lot of times we have ideas and even business ideas, and they just stay in our minds. We never just act on it. So for anyone that's planning to start a business or even a research paper, I would say just go for it and try it out. Maybe you fail, maybe you succeed, but I mean, even if you fail, you gain so much knowledge from doing what it is that you did. So try again, and it will be a huge success.
And it sounds like your blueprint can also be adapted to that. Start with writing it down. Make sure it's something that you're passionate about, and then go through that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for spending a little bit of your really busy schedule with us. Appreciate everything that you do. We're really excited for all the future has to hold. You mentioned consulting a few times. Is this where you want to go into?
Yes.
Yes. So business consulting. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're definitely preparing yourself. Congratulations for that.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Cory, for coming in.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Have a beautiful rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next episode of Living Life at Life U with your research special. Bye-bye.